What is up, YouTube? We're here again with Alex Carmenaty for our Week 8 NFL predictions. Last week was amazing. It looks like Week 8 is going to be another great week of football. Let's get straight into the video. Hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so Alex, the first game I want to get into is Thursday Night Football, 8:15, Bucks versus Bills. You probably would have thought going into the season you know who's going to win, but both teams suddenly are really struggling, so I'm curious what you think on this game.
Well, Jason, first off, this game has become the ultimate nightmare of Thursday night football, where we're getting crummy matchup after crummy
Yep.
matchup. Now, last week's matchup wasn't terrible between Jacksonville and New Orleans, but Tampa Bay's offense is not great. Baker, we know how he is. And then Josh Allen is either on the dime or he's painful to watch.
Yeah.
So you're not sure what you're going to get altogether from this game. And honestly, I mean, my gut kind of goes with Buffalo because they're the better team overall, but I can't guarantee you that because of the fact that they blew that game to New England out of all teams last week. So this one is a toss up. Now, Tampa Bay did lose to Atlanta. I got that projection right last week, but if the Buccaneers offense continues to struggle, if they're not able to get things going in Buffalo, and the Bills are able to feast off their home crowd and the offense plays well and things along those lines, then Buffalo's going to walk away with it.
Yep.
So the X factor is how Josh Allen and Buffalo plays.
Yep.
And the last time they're coming off a bad loss and they return home, they beat Las Vegas 38-10. So based off that, give me Buffalo.
I'm gonna take Buffalo in this game as well. Look, Baker started off the season strong, but he's starting to look like the usual Baker Mayfield that we're used to seeing. Um, look, the Bills have taken some hits this season so far with some injuries on the defense. Again, we never know right now what we're gonna see out of Josh Allen, so it is hard to pick the Bills. But overall, they're still, in my opinion, the better team. I think the one issue for the Bills is they're still a good team, but they haven't gotten better over the last couple of years, and the teams around them have.
Well, look, I mean, Jason, the thing is that, they brought in Diggs, they brought in Von Miller. Sure, they've got some extra pieces here and there, but the past couple of years, it's been kind of the same team. And the
Yeah.
problem is that they have a great regular season. They narrowly win their first round matchup. And then whether it's the divisional or the championship game, they get outperformed by Pat Mahomes or Joe Burrow.
Yep.
So the thing is that Buffalo is not Buffalo when you need them to be.
Yep.
When they're playing average teams or pressure is not there a lot, they're able to play good and Josh Allen does well and what have you. But when you hit the postseason, for some reason, especially as the postseason goes on, Josh Allen starts to struggle. The butterflies really get
Yep.
to him. And at the same time, you look at the other teams they're playing, Kansas City and Cincinnati. So you put those factors together, and Buffalo really has struggled, not just because of the nervousness or the inconsistency or what have you, or just a classic, notion that the Bills are a horrific playoff team, historically.
Yep.
But Kansas City, Cincinnati, not going to beat those teams. That was the case.
Yep. Yeah, so definitely I got Bills on this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if they crap out again.
Oh, no,
All
of
right.
course not.
We move into the Sunday window, and I'm excited for this game. It's been a little while since we've seen a Jets versus Giants game. What do you got on this one?
Jason, the Jets are going to have a field day as the road team in the MetLife Stadium Classic, despite the fact that the Giants are the home team, the Jets are the road team, whatever. The point is this. Look, the Jets are going to win this game on defense. And Tyrod Taylor looked great, and the Giants finally played a really good game. Their defense wasn't horrific either, but Sam Howell was Sam Howell, and the Commanders stunk it up again.
Yeah.
It's a different scenario because you got this Jets team off a bye, off a great win versus Philadelphia. They've won two straight. The last win was at MetLife Stadium as the home team. So they're coming in ready, poised, excited. And whether Zach Wilson is playing good or not, again, this Jets defensive line especially is going to make or break. And we know how horrific the Giants' offensive line is. So if the Jets' pass rush gets to Tyrod Taylor consistently,
Yeah.
the Giants will have no chance. On top of the fact that Breece Hall has been remarkable, and the Jets can win the game off the run. They
Yep.
beat Philadelphia off the run,
And the
along
Giants
with their
are
defense.
awful against the run.
Yes. So again, they beat Philly off the defense and off the run. Giants, if they struggle and they let the Jets do their magic in those categories, it's going to be a long day for Big Blue. So honestly, regardless, give me the Jets because the Giants have not been good this year. And on top of the fact that the Jets, with the past 2 wins and with how well they're playing and whether Rodgers is there or not, call me kind of crazy, but they might be a playoff team despite it.
Uh, yeah, I agree on that. And I always have the mindset of never bet on the Jets or Giants, and they got us in a scenario now where we have to pick one of those teams. Um, but I'm gonna go with the Jets as well. Look, Tyrod Taylor looked good. I've actually been more impressed with him than Daniel Jones out there.
Yep.
But again, I just think the Jets have been the better team. Again, I know they got Zach Wilson as the quarterback, who you never know again with him. But the defense is significantly better. In my opinion, even the offense is better. I mean, the Giants, I don't think they had scored a touchdown at home yet until the game against the Commanders. So,
Yeah,
look,
yeah,
the
which is
Jets,
insane.
yeah, the Jets are just a much better team. And, look, if the Bills continue to struggle, I can see the Jets finishing above the Bills. It depends on how it goes. But the sad thing for the Giants is they had their opportunity against the Bills to win that game, and this season would have looked so different right now.
Mhm.
And
Well,
they blew them.
that, but also keep in mind. I mean, you mentioned the Jets earlier, but maybe climbing Buffalo. They beat Buffalo in
Yeah,
overtime in the season opener, even with Aaron Rodgers getting hurt in that game. And they play him again, obviously.
yeah,
And guaranteed it's in Buffalo. But if the Jets can build steam into that matchup and see them sweep the Bills, then that tells you a lot right there
yeah.
whether Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback or not. And honestly, keep in mind, the Jets don't need Zach Wilson to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and whatever it is. It's not the 1920s here, but the
Yeah.
Jets run game and the Jets defensive pressure
Oh,
has
it's
been
so
good
good.
enough to
Yeah.
win games recently.
Yes.
And on top of that, if that is working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep it going and don't make Zach Wilson make mistakes. Don't put him in situations where
Yeah,
he
don't
needs
make
to
him do more than
outperform.
he yeah, don't make him do more than he has to do.
Right, exactly. So again, based off those things, the Jets win this game versus Big Blue. And on top of that, if that continues, don't be shocked if the Jets either make a playoff run to get in the postseason or if they get there outright.
Yes, I will say now I don't physically see the Jets being more than a wild card team.
Oh, of
There is
course.
no way they are gonna catch the Dolphins unless
Mhm.
obviously they win both games with the Dolphins.
Right.
But look, I just think the Dolphins are too good. But I can see the Jets as a wild card team. We move on to the next 1 o'clock game. We got Jaguars Steelers, both coming off big wins. I know obviously everyone's gonna say the Steelers got a little help from the refs this week, but I'm curious what you think on this game.
Well, whether they got help from the officials or not, Pittsburgh got the win. And shocking, honestly. I mean, because the Rams are a better team. And the fact that Pittsburgh is 4-2 and the Rams are 3-4, that's kind of misleading, but that's the case. Look, give me Jacksonville. They won 4 straight right now. They're on a roll. They beat Buffalo. They beat two crucial division opponents in 2 big wins. Now they beat New Orleans last week. They're coming off the rest of more than 7 days, 10 days, whatever it is. And here they are now. They're fresh. Trevor Lawrence looks solid. The defense was phenomenal. This team, Jacksonville's a very good team. And they pulled off a fake punt versus New Orleans too,
I
which
know.
tells you a lot right there also. So look, Jacksonville's starting to get their mojo going. They're in a great rhythm. ETN's playing phenomenal. The run game has been solid. Trevor Lawrence looked pretty good. The defensive pressure has been applied. So you put all those things together. Again, it's a Pittsburgh offense that's really shaky. They've been back and forth. Najee Harris has looked horrific all year.
Yeah.
He finally scored a touchdown last week, but he's been bad. The Steelers' offense has been not good. Steelers' defense has been questionable too. So you put all these pieces together. Look, we'll see what happens. How can you not go with Jacksonville from
Yeah.
what we're seeing right now?
No, you're 100% right. I'm gonna take Jacksonville in this game as well. Jacksonville's just looked really good lately. Christian Kirk again and ETN. Both those guys really impressive players.
Yeah,
Um, the one thing they're missing is somehow a healthy Zay Jones. We've talked about it before. The guy
yeah,
continues to get hurt and have some sort of nagging issue. Um, for the Steelers, I think we've discussed it like once or twice here. During previous weeks. No matter what, the Steelers' wins are never impressive, pretty wins.
yeah.
They are really very ugly, not good football games, in my opinion.
Well, Jason, on top of that, not only are they ugly wins, but when they lose games, especially this year,
It's bad.
they're not pretty to watch either.
Yeah,
So the Steelers are a very misleading 4-2. They're
yeah,
a very misleading 4-2. And if Baltimore didn't crush Detroit last week, Pittsburgh would be in a different conversation of being, up there and being a legit contender somehow for the division crown. But look, if you really look at this Pittsburgh team, look, they're not that good.
yeah.
And you put them against any other team that's competitive, maybe even Buffalo, who's been back and forth, Pittsburgh's not going to win that game.
No,
On top of the fact that Houston has been surprisingly good this year, and Houston crushed Pittsburgh 30-6 earlier this campaign.
yep. Yeah, I mean, look, like we said, Najee Harris hasn't been great. Pickens is obviously the one bright spot of that offense so far. Um, Deontay Johnson's back from his injury, but for some reason the guy just can't find the end zone to save his life. I mean, he didn't score a touchdown all of last year. He can't score one again. So I mean, overall, I'm so impressed with that Jacksonville team, and Pittsburgh's, in my
Hmm.
opinion, a very lucky 4-2. Um, but all right, we
Well, yeah.
move on.
Well, I mean,
Sorry, what are
again,
you gonna say?
yeah,
No, say what you're gonna say. I'm sorry.
yeah. I mean, no, you're good. Again, they were a misleading 4-2, just like how a couple years ago they were a misleading 10-0, 11-0
Yeah,
team. They lost to Washington and then made the playoffs and folded again. So again, Pittsburgh is not the real deal. They are a facade. They are a joke. And look, when it comes to pressure times, they either fold, and this year, when you really look at them, they're not pretty.
yeah, no, 100%. All right, we move into the next 1 o'clock game, and this could be an interesting one because Hurts hasn't looked that good. I actually think he has a questionable designation for this week. We got the Eagles versus Commanders. What do you got on this one?
Well, look, we flashed back a couple weeks ago, and that was a shootout, and Sam Howell played good despite losing. He looked really good, and
Yeah,
ever since that, the Commanders have been horrific, and Sam Howell looks ugly. So I don't know. I mean, what I mean by I don't know is that I don't know what I'm getting from Sam Howell, and we could get a back and forth shootout within 3 points again, or we could see Washington get steamrolled yet again for another week. I mean, sure, they lost 14-7 to the Giants, but let's keep in mind one of the last times they were at home, they got embarrassed by the Bears 40-20. And earlier this season, they lost to Buffalo 37-3 on their home turf.
yeah.
So their home field has not been so lovely for Washington so far this year. It's been
No,
a disaster really for them when they're playing at FedEx Field. But on top of the fact that the Eagles looked really good versus Miami, Jalen Hurts got things going. Dallas Goedert finally got involved. Look, this Philly team looked a lot better on Sunday Night Football. Coming off that ugly loss to the Jets, they needed some type of bounce back, and they got it versus Miami. So the thing is that the Eagles got to keep it consistent. One game they're playing great, and the next game their offense is not pretty to watch. So Jalen Hurts, whether he's questionable or not, has to find a way to be consistent, and this offense has to be consistent. And this game is a great example on how to do that at the expense of a Washington team that is so flimsy. So right right off from what we see, give me Philadelphia, but at the same time, We could get a back and forth shootout. We could see Philadelphia make mistakes. Washington could play more competitive, like it was the last time these two teams faced. From what I'm seeing now, give me the Eagles, but we could get either a blowout or a close matchup. We don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Eagles as long as Jalen Hurts is playing, which he's just again. I never go by that questionable designation. 99% of the time they end up playing, so I think he'll be good. Um, Look, there's just so far, and again, he's a young quarterback, but there is nothing that has impressed me so far about Sam Howell. He is
No,
just
no. I mean,
really struggling.
well, look. I mean, again, look. He played great last time when they played the Eagles, but if you look at his overall season,
Brutal.
I mean, it's not pretty to watch at all. I mean, look, you can bring back Ken Stabler from the dead, and he would play better. I
Mm.
mean, you can look. I mean, it's not good.
Look,
It's
all
not
I'll
good.
say
He's
is
not playing
there's
good.
no excuse, and this is coming from a Giants fan, to only put up 7 points on that Giants defense is pathetic.
Oh, it is. And look, the Giants are so bad. Look, Tyrod Taylor is playing better than Daniel Jones.
Mm.
The Giants defense is painful to watch. The offensive line for Big Blue is so bad. Evan Neal is so bad he could be eating Burger King and making Burger King commercials at this point. That's how bad he's playing right now.
Yeah,
I mean, and you lose 14-7 in MetLife Stadium? How does that happen?
yeah,
And look, if they keep that going at home, could get blown out again.
yeah,
I'm not sure what goes in and week out for this team. But look, I'm sure they're game planning and prepping or whatever, but at this point, it's got to go in one ear and out the other. I
yeah,
just don't know what they're doing, what they're planning, how they're going to, scheme against these teams. And now they're coming back home where they've been worse at home than they have been on the road.
yeah.
And look, I mean, again, we're going to get either a good game, close, or it's going to be ugly yet again at the expense of Washington.
Yep. Look, if uh a few weeks ago after the Eagles Commanders game, I probably would have said when they play again it'll be close. But with how the Commanders have looked since, I'm gonna take that this is gonna be a pretty big blowout game.
Yeah.
Eagles just beat the Dolphins as well. So Eagles got all the momentum right now. Again, look, we've said it before. A division game is always hard to call though because there's so much involved in it, and even if you're not a good team, you want to beat the team in your division. You really do.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of teams tend to step up in division games, so it's hard to really just sit there and say this is going to be a blowout. But in my opinion, I think it will, just because of how Sam Howell has looked. We move in to the next 1 o'clock game, and it's probably a battle of your two favorite quarterbacks based on where he used to play. We got Matthew Stafford and the Rams against the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. What do you got on this one?
I hope Dallas loses. I really do. But the Rams last week, again, officials, whatever you want to say,
Mhm.
should have won that game and still lost to that bad Pittsburgh team. Look, this game is going to be so back and forth. It was kind of like the last game Dallas played versus the Chargers.
Yep.
It was a back and forth seesaw. Maybe Dallas gets it. Maybe LA wins the game. It's going to be close. We're not sure what to expect. This game is sort of the similar. And Dallas did beat the Chargers by 3 points. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if that happens again. I just look again. The Rams. That game last week was really tough for them. Hopefully, for their sake, they bounce back. And despite the bad calls or whatever, the Rams just they didn't look that great.
No.
They look kind of flimsy. They looked very flimsy. Stafford wasn't great. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp couldn't get things going. Look, this Rams team was just flimsy last week versus Pittsburgh. Now they're playing a Dallas team who I believe is coming off by. And on top of that, you've got a rested Dallas team. You've got Dak Prescott coming off that win. You've got Dallas barely beating the Chargers.
Yep.
At this point, I'm going to go with Dallas. And I hate to say it, Jason, but I think Dallas is going to narrowly win this game like what happened a couple weeks
Yep.
ago versus the Chargers. Look, despite how good or bad Dak plays, how good or bad Matthew
Yeah.
Stafford plays, how good or bad the offenses are. I think defense and special teams will make or break who wins, number one. But number two, it's going to be so close of a game that anything at the drop of a hat can go Dallas's way or the Rams'
Yeah.
way, and whoever gets that break in their favor is going to win. And knowing the Cowboys, they'll somehow get the break and they'll somehow win the game,
Yeah.
and they'll really annoy me for another week.
Look.
So give me Dallas.
Yeah. Look, sadly, I'm gonna
In
go to.
in spite of Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, sadly, I'm gonna go Cowboys in this game as well. I just overall look, both teams look good, but it seems like the Rams have struggled to play a full 60 minutes so far this year, so it's really, really,
Yeah,
really hard to
yeah.
go with the Rams. Look, for the Rams, last week really helped. Losing to that bad Steelers team, on top of the fact that the Niners lost, you could have been one game behind them. So that
Mm.
really hurts. You really needed to win that game against a bad Steelers team. Um, so look, it's hard for me to have a lot of faith in the Rams right now when they have struggled to play a full 60 minutes. It's just my opinion on it. Overall, the Cowboys again, a team though that could just disappear and collapse, and you just never know what you're gonna get out of them. But overall, I just think they're the better team. Okay, so the next game I want to get into, and I think it's a game that you're probably pretty scared about. It is Vikings Packers. What do you got on this one?
Jason, I'm really trying to just breathe. I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to just take it easy, like Roger said multiple times. Just relax, RELAX. But I can't with Jordan Love. I can't relax with Jordan Love. Two straight games, last play, last drive, third down, bombs it down the field, picks it off. Whether it's him, LaFleur, or Mickey Mouse calling the play, I don't care. How does that happen? And
Yeah.
honestly, Jason, before I saw Minnesota beat San Francisco, I thought, maybe it'll be close. Maybe we could sneak it out. Minnesota's playing good right now, and they've won two straight, and they're starting to pick things up. And honestly, that win versus San Fran kept their season alive.
Oh yeah.
How bad it was to start, it kept their year alive, and I think that kept Kirk Cousins in Minneapolis. It was
Oh
that big of a
yeah.
win.
Yeah.
So, based off that, the fact that they're going to Green Bay, Packers have been awful recently. Detroit came into Green Bay last month and steamrolled them. Look, this is I I just have no high expectations. Jordan Love could put up 15 points, 20 points. The defense can be solid, whatever. But when it comes to last minute football railing, they're not going to win. Give me Minnesota at the look. Minnesota's going to win this game either very closely or they're somehow going to just steamroll us. This is just classic Jordan Love, Green Bay Packers football, where he plays good for a couple weeks and then we go back down the toilet. And LaFleur is the main reason. And on top of that, the Packers just stink.
Yeah.
So the Packers stink. The Packers stink. The Packers stink. Minnesota's going to win at Lambeau.
I'm taking Minnesota as well. Jordan Love just doesn't look good. I believe Christian Watson got banged up yet again over the
Oh,
weekend,
lovely.
which is
Lovely. And I
not.
mean, look, the fact that the Denver Broncos have wins against two teams, the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers, annoys the heck out of me.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, look, Denver's not good. Sean Payton's been awful. And Green Bay's not been great either. But how do you not win that game? And then on 3rd and 20, you bomb it down the field where all you need is a 15-yard gain. Maybe you go for it on 4th down, but you inch closer for a field goal try, and you maybe walk it off. But no, you bomb it down the field. It gets picked off.
That's
The
twice
Ram or
now.
the Broncos. Exactly, Jason. 2 straight weeks I've been saying this. That happens. I mean, the Raiders game just makes me more frustrated than Denver. Look, Denver's crummy. And on top of that, you should have won that game. But you know what? After what I saw versus Vegas, I wouldn't be shocked if they lost that game. And of course they did. But this Vegas game was ridiculous. 17-13, 40 seconds to go, 3rd and 10. You're in the red zone. Just get a simple slant over the middle, take a timeout, get closer towards the end zone, run it in with A.J. Dillon because he was playing great that night, and you win the game. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened this week. 3rd and 20. Penalties, sadly, and bad play calls caused that to happen. And then the ultimate disaster happens on 3rd and 20 at the Packers 40 or 30, whatever it was, and you bomb it down the field, well past the field goal range, and then it gets picked off. What do you expect?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you expect to happen on that? Do you think it's going to just take a favorable bounce and David Tyree's going to be there and save the day? No, David Tyree's retired. Move on from that. Look, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous with these play calls. And I've said it before. I'll say it again. Matt LaFleur is the worst play caller I've ever seen in my entire life. And the man should have been fired seasons ago. But he's still there for some reason. And I'll tell you this much. They're going to have a bad year this year, and they're going to give him a contract extension. That's how much of a hand he has in this. He's basically Don LaFleur. He has control over everything. It
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you know what? I give up. I just give up. I give up because I know what I'm going to get. And I know, look, Jordan looked great. I was happy with that for the past couple of weeks, but we saw his true form against Lions, against Vegas, against Denver. And this week, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
Ugly. UGLY exclamation point against Kirk Cousins
Yeah.
and the Vikings.
Look,
It's over.
the one thing I will say on the Vikings is this kid Addison is stepping up in the
Oh yeah,
absence
he
of
played
Justin
great on Monday
Jefferson.
night, and that's the thing too. Look, Packers secondary has not been awful this year, but Rasul Douglas looked horrible on Sunday versus Denver. The Packers secondary looked horrific against Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Jair Alexander's been in and out of the lineup, and the front seven's been good, but not good enough to win games, obviously.
Yep.
On top of the fact that the offense blows it. So, look, it's a mess. And honestly, don't be shocked if Minnesota goes in there and has a ball. It's
Yep.
going to be ugly. And look, yeah, Minnesota's going to win this game, and Kirk Cousins will yet again save the season for the Vikings at the expense of the sad, miserable Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
It's over. It's over, Jason. I quit.
All right, let's get away from the sad game that ruins your day every
That's a
time you
great
watch it.
transition. Good job.
We got a team that, and I think we probably know who's going to win this game, especially them coming off the win. But I guess the other issue with them is we don't know how he's going to play. We got Falcons, Titans. What do you got?
Atlanta, the ATL. I mean, come on. Atlanta looked phenomenal against Tampa. I mean, not too great, but good enough to win the game. And Young Ho Koo, last second hero, wins it for him. I knew Atlanta was going to win that game because of how consistent they are. And they're going to be consistent against Tennessee because Tennessee is a back and forth seesaw. And honestly, they're not great. And their offense stinks. And D Hop has only had one good game with the Titans. So on top of that alone, you got to give me Atlanta. They're starting to build momentum. And if they can win the game, and if Tampa loses on Thursday to Buffalo, it gives them more reason not just to win, but to build upon their division lead.
Yep. Look, there's not an insane amount I have to say on this game. I think it's pretty clear, in my opinion, that, the Titans aren't that good. I don't know what's going on with Tannehill. I know he got carted off or whatever in the last game. So just nothing really has impressed me about them, especially, dude, if they have to play Malik Willis, he's just terrible. I know he's young, but watching him out there is just painfully bad. It really is. Desmond Ritter's looked a little bit better, and we talked about it last week. They're finally getting Pitts involved, Drake London. They're getting their key pieces involved. And they pulled off that win, by the way. Hardly using Bijan Robinson, by the way. I don't know if you knew this. He was a little under the weather last week, and they still won with him not feeling great and not playing a lot.
Well, I mean, again, Atlanta, whether he's playing great or not, finds ways to win games. And now they're doing it by getting their main offensive pieces besides Bijan involved. And not just that, That front seven is scary for Atlanta, and their secondary's gotten better. And again, they are just a complete team. And if they continue to be complete and consistent, they're going to find a way to win this division when Tampa struggles, New Orleans struggles, and Carolina's got no shot to begin with. So you put all those pieces together, and Atlanta's not just going to win this game, but they're going to build a streak up to potentially somehow, somehow surprising the league potentially
Yeah.
in winning that wide open NFC South.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
no,
probably going to happen.
yeah. No, I agree. And you look at this Titans team. Derrick Henry's been getting better, but you look at it right now. They are by far the worst team in that division.
Oh yeah, no, no,
Even
no.
even with a Colts team without Anthony Richardson having to use Gardner Minshew, I still think the Colts are better than the Titans.
I mean, easily. And look, the Colts blew another game, but Gardner Minshew looked really good last week. 305 yards, two
Yes.
touchdowns. So look, the Colts are just more consistent. Houston's been surprising, and Jacksonville's the top of the crop. I
Yes.
mean, you put those things together, and Tennessee is literally hogwash compared to all of it.
Yeah. Look, the one thing I will give the Colts, and we'll get into it in a little bit, there was some really bad calls against them towards the end of that game. Overall, Gardner Minshew had an amazing game. It was the best game back for Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see it in the Titans. Falcons win this by far, though. We got time for one more before we do our restart. We got another one that's a little interesting based off the wins losses last week. Waddle now being hurt. We got Patriots Dolphins. What do you got here?
Well, we saw what happened last time these two teams played, and Miami barely won in New England. Now, this game's going to be in South Florida. And on top of that, whether Waddle is hurt or not, Tyreek Hill's going to go off.
Sure.
Tua looked solid despite struggling at times. They're going to bounce back against this New England team. And sure, Mac Jones was able to lead the game winning drive, and they played good against Buffalo and what have you. But Buffalo was different than Miami. And if Miami has one bad week, they shake it off. They come back. They turn the ship around. They get it going. New England's going to struggle.
Yeah.
Miami's going to win. The offense is just going to be too much for this team to handle. Miami's going to blow them out offensively. And on top of that, with how bad the Patriots have been despite last week, I think Mac Jones is going to see a lot of times where he's going to struggle against a pretty good Dolphins defense.
Yeah, no,
So give me the Dolphins.
I agree with you on that, Alex. Look, even with no Waddle, that just opens the door for more Tyreek Hill stuff. Most of it still looks amazing. The dude is just not slowing down at all this year. Um, there's not one guy on that Patriots team who really has impressed me.
Oh yeah.
Bourne's been okay. They're finally getting Zeke involved a little bit. Ramondre Stevenson has been a disappointment so far this year. Mac Jones is just terrible, in my opinion, still. Despite winning that game last week, I think it was a lot more of the Bills falling apart than Mac
Oh
Jones
yeah.
looking amazing.
Well,
Um,
that, but also Hunter Henry's been pretty good this year,
oh, he
despite the
has, yeah.
mess. And Mike Gesicki, former Dolphin, got the game-winning touchdown. He'll be returning to Miami. So look, I mean, the Patriots are just can't keep the jug going. It's one game they beat a really bad. They beat this Buffalo team that's been bad at times. Sometimes they're good, and they've just been so back and forth. You don't know what you get. So
Yeah.
you're right. Buffalo blew it. The Patriots got the win, but it's really more of a Buffalo blow and a choke than a Patriots victory. And we're going to see that happen this week when Miami steamrolls them.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's not too much I gotta say. I do think the Dolphins easily win this game. We actually could do one more. We still got 4.5 minutes on this. So we got the Saints versus Colts. What do you got on this one?
Look, the Saints did not look pretty, but the Colts looked great and lost. Give me Indy. Gardner Minshew is starting to get things going a little bit, whether it's Cleveland or not. And Jonathan Taylor looks strong. Colts put up 38 points. They had a lead. Sure, penalties. Colts, say whatever you want. But the Colts put up 38 points and were 15 seconds away from winning that game. Compare that to the Saints that really struggled. Carr has not looked the best recently. Sure, he's been injured, fine. But he didn't look good on Thursday Night Football. And the Saints defense had no match for Jacksonville. So if they have to face another strong offensive team, whether it's Richardson or Minshew, the Saints will not keep up.
Yep.
So give me Indy.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Indy as well. Minshew has looked impressive. Again, we've said it before. He started out slow because he's not a guy who could just occasionally come in and play and look good. He needs to get in there and mix it up a little bit before he gets himself going. When he's consistently playing, he's a really good quarterback, actually.
Yeah.
Um, and Pittman looked great last week. Jonathan Taylor looked like his old self again. Just overall, I think they are the better team, like you said, whether it's Richardson or Minshew. Derek Carr, man, you thought maybe this would be a fresh start, a turnaround for him here in New Orleans, and it just doesn't seem to be going that way yet
Yeah.
again for him. Another disappointment of a season so far for Carr. And look, it could still be turned around, but in my eyes, I don't see it going that way. Michael Thomas, Olave, those guys haven't been, from what I've seen, they have not done that much.
Well, that
Obviously,
that, but also Chris Olave just got arrested off the field for some driving incident this week.
did
Yep.
he really? Wow.
Yep, that happened. I mean, that shouldn't play a big role in what happens on Sunday, but it kind of just makes things look more frustrating for the Saints as they were supposed to sort of lead this division and win it, but it's been disappointing. Carr's not been working out, the offense has not been great, and you put that on top of it, and it just shows the Saints' disappointment this year in 23.
Yeah. Look, I will say the one thing I will give the Saints so far, and since he's came back, Alvin Kamara finally looks good again. Last year was a bit of a struggle for him.
Sure, sure.
He looks like his old form again. I believe Jamal Williams came back last week. He didn't do too much. They were just trying to ease him back in after the injury. But those are some key things that those guys are going good. Those are probably the only things, getting Jamal Williams back and Kamara looking like his old self. Those are probably the only two positives so far for the Saints.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, those are great, but it's not been good enough to win games. And when you have the majority of your offense struggling or hurt or banged up in whatever way, and the defense can't keep up, you're not going to win football games.
No,
Simple.
100%. Okay, so the last 1 o'clock window game we go into now, Alex, is the Texans versus Panthers. What do you got on this one?
Really? Really?
Yeah.
Really? Houston, Houston, Houston. That's it, Jason. Look, this is not a conversation. This should not be a conversation. Houston's a better team. Carolina stinks. Sure, we're seeing C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young face off the first two picks of last year's draft. Yeah, great. But Bryce Young hasn't been good this year because of what team he's playing for. And C.J. Stroud has flipped expectations, and Houston's playing really, really good because of him and all these different factors. So you add those pieces together. I mean, you can choose Houston in your sleep in this game. And honestly, with the way C.J. Stroud is playing, if he keeps it going, for my money, rookie of the year, no question.
No, I agree. I definitely could, especially if he could lead the Texans into a wild card spot or just a playoff spot in general. With how Jacksonville's playing, I don't see them being able to win this division. And
Yeah,
I could totally see them sneaking into a wild card spot, especially with how teams with like the Bills and those teams have looked.
absolutely.
Um, but the Panthers, they've had one positive so far, and it's the fact that Adam Thielen has looked incredible for them so far.
That's great, but that's not going to
That's no,
win
I'm
you game.
saying that's their only positive around them right now, and that's
Right.
not enough to help them. That is great for them because he's the guy you need to be your leader, your veteran, wide receiver. Um, but yeah, it's not enough to win games. I just think the Texans look incredible so far. Dalton Schultz looks good for them. Just everybody all around, and I'm so impressed. With CJ Stroud. Dude, kid has been just absolutely incredible. I feel like surprising everybody. I feel like people thought he was going to be good, but I don't think they thought the Texans were going to be 3-3. And it sucks because they could be 4-2. I forgot what game it was. There was one that they blew it very late after they
Yeah,
took the lead. I don't know who that was against.
I'm blanking on two. But no, look, I mean, despite it, I mean, the expectations have been shattered for sure. And for CJ Stroud playing so good and this Texans offense looking so solid too, you're impressed with this team. And hey, if they make a run, if they sneak into the postseason, that tells you a lot right there. Whether they go far or not, or let's say they just miss the postseason. that's a win of a campaign,
Yeah.
despite whatever happens. Because again, you did not know what you were getting. You were thinking maybe another 3-win campaign. Things weren't going to be
And they're
great. They've got
already
three
at that.
wins. Yeah,
Mm.
they're at 3 wins already. Probably going to get 4. Actually, wait, most likely or will get 4
Mm.
against Carolina. And on top of that, they're chugging along.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with it.
So Alex, I have one question for you before we move into the 4 o'clock window. With how the Texans have looked so far, do you think they stick with who they have, or do you think they try at the deadline to get one more key piece?
I mean, I don't know. Look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But at the same time, if they could use an extra piece, maybe on the defense or offense, I'm not sure what their game plan is going to be at the deadline. But let's say they don't do anything. That's all right. Don't be upset by it. If they don't make any moves at the deadline, that's really just a win in itself, not just because you're not sure what the expectations were, but because you don't have to trade anybody away.
Yes, usually the teams that have to trade people away are the struggling teams and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So
So
so so again, the fact that Houston doesn't have to trade anybody, and if they don't gain anybody, that's fine.
yeah,
And if they make a run for a postseason, whether they get in there or not, season's been so successful. And again, on top of that, for my money, if Stroud keeps it going like this, I don't see how he cannot be Rookie of the Year.
yeah. Look, it's been a couple years since Texans fans and people were able to have faith in that roster. So I think that is just a massive like boost in morale for that team if they don't
Yeah,
have to make a trade at the deadline. That's
right.
the first
Absolutely.
time in a while where they've looked good going into the deadline. All right, though, we move into the 4 o'clock window. This game's another interesting one because they just won their last game without Watson. Um, you know, Walker looks okay out there. He's not incredible, but he has figured out a way to win those games. We got Browns versus Seahawks. What do you got on this one?
Cleveland played a good game versus the Colts, and I'll give them that. Seattle, recently lost to Cincinnati, and the Bengals have turned things around. But I'm going to be honest with you, Jason. If Watson don't play, Seattle's going to win this game. Seattle's just the better team. And the Browns are a team where, again, their defense is good, and they picked up 2 impressive wins versus San Fran and the Colts. But they're starting to play some heavy hitters again.
Yeah,
And look, San Fran's been flimsy recently, sure, but Seattle is a pretty solid team. And we know the stakes for the Seahawks now, where if San Francisco somehow collapses, Seattle's that backup to take over and potentially win that division.
um,
So you put all those factors together, this is a bigger game for Seattle than it is for Cleveland. Because
yes.
Cleveland, you weren't sure what you were getting. Sure, they've been impressive the past couple of weeks without Watson, but Cleveland still should not make the postseason. That's the projection. That's the expectation. But with how good Seattle's playing right now and with how important they need to win a game like this and build momentum
Yeah.
and build steam in this division chase, give me Seattle because they're going to be more hungry.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Seattle in this one as well. A little bit of combination of I think just Seattle's better, and I also want to see the Browns lose because I want to see the Bengals climb those standings a little bit. But look, the Seahawks won without Metcalf, which is
Yeah.
huge. I just overall, especially if there's no Watson, I don't think they stand a chance. Kenneth Walker's been great. Lockett's been good. Geno Smith's been good. So I just,
Yep.
overall, look, Amari Cooper has been okay, but he is significantly better when Deshaun Watson is the quarterback. I just feel like Walker has some problems finding him sometimes. Keep in mind the number one guy for this week now, running back, is now Kareem Hunt because Jerome Ford got held and he's got a protective boot on his ankle and he's foot and he's doubtful for this week. So the Browns lost another key piece.
Well, look, keep in mind, Kareem Hunt's been really good when he's played with Cleveland in the past and played really good on Sunday to win the game. I mean, 15 seconds to go, game winning touchdown.
Yeah.
So give him credit on that. But at the same time, look, the Browns just keep getting banged up and what have you. And look, they're riding the high horse. They're playing good right now, all of that jazz. But Seattle is the better team.
Yeah.
And like I said before, Seattle has more things to play for than Cleveland. Now, Cleveland can play for pride, maybe, upset some teams here and there. But the Seahawks are not just looking to make a playoff run. Now with the Niners struggling, they're looking to win that division
Yes.
and go farther.
Yes. And you got to keep in mind they play the Niners too at times, so they could easily take firm grasp of that division if the Niners continue their struggles. We move into the next game, a 425 game, and as we're talking about the Niners, this doesn't get any easier for them just during their struggles. We got San Francisco versus the Bengals. What do you got on this one?
Well, look, Cincinnati's played better. They're starting to get things going. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, look, they look great, and San Francisco hasn't been. So this could be a back and forth, contest where we either see the Niners start strong, they turn things around, they get back to their old form, and they win the game outright. Or if the Bengals keep it going, they challenge San Francisco, they could walk out with a narrow victory. You're going to get one of two. And at the same time, look, this is going to be a really important game for both teams because the Bengals are starting to pick things up. They've won 2 straight. The Niners have lost 2 straight. They're flustered. This is the show of, is Brock Purdy who Brock Purdy's supposed to be?
Yes.
This is this game right here to show that. And on top of that notion, if they can't win this game, you've got serious questions for a 5-0 team that went 5-3. And
Yeah.
for the Bengals, you turn things around. We talked about some teams maybe trying to make some trades at the deadline. The Bengals go from a team from selling to maybe buying some players. I'm not sure who or what they could do, but at the same time, if the Bengals are able to win this game, their season completely flips.
Oh yeah.
And if San Francisco loses, they're still competitors, but it gets even more difficult. This is going to be a narrow matchup. I think this game might be the most narrow game this week. Just depends on the rest of the games that are going on later on. But the point is that this game is going to be so narrow that you're not sure what you're going to get until the game plays out. Now, based on what I'm seeing, your gut goes with Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest with you, Jason. 49ers got to wake up here, and I think they're going to. I think they're going to bounce back after 2 really tough losses to Cleveland and the Vikings, knowing last week that they kept the Vikings season alive by blowing that. And Brock Purdy threw a very ugly pick to end the game.
Yeah.
So we look at all those things. They're going to be determined to bounce back and pick up a win. And the thing is, they know the Bengals have been weak at times. Now, again, like I said before, they've won the recent games, but they know Cincinnati's weaknesses. And if they really trigger that on the offense and the defense, if they really pressure Joe Burrow, they're going to win the game. So their defense has been so good, they know how to really, trigger a QB's kryptonite. If they do that, they're going to win. On top of the fact that they keep McCaffrey going and the offense starts to get the juice flowing again. Yes. So as of right now, it might not be the case right now from what you see, and depending on what's been going on the past couple of weeks, give me this 49ers, even though Cincinnati's coming off a bye week.
Yeah, this is my upset of the week. I'm going to take the Bengals over the Niners. Look, I think Burrow's been turning it on lately. They've been playing much better. I think they got their bye week at the perfect time just because Burrow started to look better, healthier, and then he just got an extra week to heal up even more with his injury. I think that is going to be massive. I think Chase has a big day. Right now, man, I don't know. The Niners are scaring me. They're struggling right now. We still don't know what's going on with Deebo Samuel. That offense is completely different with or without him. It really is.
Well, look, I see the concerns, but let's keep in mind, look, the Niners have not been good, but it's not like they're giving up 35 points. They lost 19-17 and 22-17. So they're losing narrow games that really shouldn't have been narrow.
Yes.
Now that you come in with this hot Bengals team off the bye, off the strength, whatever it is, Burrow getting his juices flowing, San Francisco really needs to bounce back. And Cincinnati will be more rested, but San Francisco will be more determined to prove how good of a team they really are.
Yes.
So I think based off that alone, and based off the fact that the Niners are really trying to bounce back here, and we know how good their defense is, they know how to pressure good quarterbacks. If they're able to get that going again, it's going to be the 49ers all day long.
Yep. No, you're right. Look, I don't like that we move into the next 425 game. I don't like Carson on here, but here comes the ass kicking of the week game. We got Chiefs Broncos. What do you got to say on this one?
They're playing again after playing on Thursday Night Football a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, look, last time it was a 19-8 game, and it wasn't that much of a butt whipping. But honestly, this time it's in Denver, and whether it's Mile High City or not, Kansas City is coming off 6 straight wins, and they're playing strong, and they look really good, and they beat the Chargers by 14 points. I think off that you're going to see a different Chiefs Broncos matchup because
Yep.
Mahomes got it going. Travis Kelce scored a big touchdown. The run game's been strong all year long. And I'll tell you this much. Kansas City is going to shake it off in Denver with a win regardless, whether it's a 30-point win, a 10-point win, a 2-point win, or whatever. Because Taylor Swift will be shaking and baking, and Travis Kelce will be shaking and baking, and Mahomes will be shaking and baking. And it's going to be a whole process overall for them. So Chiefs win. I mean, we'll see by how much, how close it is, or how big of a difference it is. But if the Chiefs win, Travis Kelce wins, Taylor Swift wins, and the rest is Sunday night.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's too much to say on this game. Denver, I mean, I still can't believe they beat you guys. But we'll try
Shut
to
up.
not discuss it too much.
Just shut up. Just shut up
Look,
and move on.
the Chiefs, look, for some reason, it's crazy. Ever since Taylor Swift showed up, the Chiefs are unstoppable. Um, uh,
Hey, look. She's been in the bleachers. She's been cheering there, and Travis Kelce's been doing great stuff. And when Travis Kelce is the captain over here, and the captain of, well, not the cheer team, but one of the captains of the football team here, and she's cheering in the bleachers with her pom poms and her nice jacket and whatever else, it's gonna work out for you.
yeah, yeah. So look, overall, one thing I will say about the Chiefs is Rice is stepping up too. Is a pretty good receiver. I just overall, I don't see the Broncos standing a chance. I could see the Chiefs putting up 30 plus on them. I really could.
Well, look again. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it plays out. But Casey is going to win, and we all know what will happen from there between Travis and Taylor.
Yeah. All right, we move into the last 425 game. Uh, and this could be another just brutal game because the Cardinals are starting to look like what we expected them to look like. We got Ravens Cardinals. What do you got on this one?
Look, the fact that Detroit got blown out 38-6 last week was ridiculous. Now the Ravens play Arizona. I mean, this is going to be a cakewalk. I mean, is there really much to talk about on this one, Jason?
No, not at all.
Run game, Lamar Jackson was strong. Ravens defense is solid. Arizona's struggling. Josh Dobbs has still been all right this year, but they're not going to keep up. Baltimore wins. See you later.
Yeah, Baltimore. I think Baltimore just dominates this game. The Cardinals are still without James Conner. They don't have the number one guy who could really try to do something for them to maybe make
Sure.
it a little interesting. Without James Conner, they don't stand a chance. Hollywood Brown, those guys, they're pretty good. They are. Rondell Moore, I believe. They just don't compare to the guys on the Ravens. And look, the Ravens. It's weird because you look at that Ravens team and they also have some really weird pieces on their offense. The receivers are a little bit like, look, I know you got OBJ, but you don't have one star on that offense besides Lamar right now.
Right.
You're working Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, Odell, who could get held in the blink of an eye.
Mhm.
Um, is it Bateman? I think
Yeah.
Bateman's that.
Yeah.
Bateman. Zay Flowers has been good, but like there's not one star. It's a little bit of a weird offense. I mean, I guess you have Mark Andrews. I guess it's just it really is just those two. It really is. Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, and whatever those other guys could step up and do a little bit of. But even that is better than what the Cardinals have right now, in my opinion.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
not too much to say. We move into Sunday Night Football. We got Bears versus Chargers. What do you got on this one?
Well, look, Tyler Baguette Bagel Badgett, whatever the heck his name is again, actually looked good.
Yeah.
And look, he won the game. I'll give him the credit. Beat up on the Raiders. Bears have 2 wins this year. I'll give him that. Here's my fear. They're going to get a third win. I
You
think
think?
Chicago's going to beat LA. And I say
Uh,
that because Justin Fields has been so bad recently. And we know how bad the Chargers defense is. And whether he's got Keenan Allen, Jerry Rice, Michael Jordan, or Tony Soprano, whoever's out there playing football for him, for whatever reason, they can't get it going.
yeah.
And the Bears have been able to get it going against a bad Raiders team that Green Bay lost to.
Yes.
So here's my fear, Jason. Chicago's going to have more wins than Green Bay. The Packers are going to be in last. And the Bears are going to win on national television with a backup quarterback when Kirk Cousins kicks my butt for another week. So Chicago wins.
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna go Chicago. Um, as well. The only bright spot for that Chargers team has been Keenan Allen.
Yeah, but again, Justin
Not
Herbert's
enough.
been so bad. What's the point of it?
No, 100%. We're so used to saying that, uh, we feel bad for Herbert because he always puts up high points and he looks amazing out there, and it's the defense that screws him. But it's a combination. Honestly, in my opinion, the defense has been better, and right now it's an example of Justin Herbert screwing Justin Herbert.
Yeah, that's
He's
fair.
been really, really bad lately.
Yep.
So look, I think it's Badgett. I could be wrong on how to pronounce that name. He, like you said, very impressive. He really was. Uh, Foreman looked good as the running back for the Bears. I believe he scored 3 touchdowns. If you could get DJ Moore involved again, I mean, look, I just overall, I can't believe I'm saying this, but right now the Bears might actually be the better team.
Well, the Bears might be the better team, but we look at what they were to begin with and how they're turning things around
Yes.
now. I don't know what's playing on my phone right now, but okay. Anyway, based off that, Jason, the Packers beat this team,
Yes.
and now they stink. And now Chicago's building momentum, and Justin Fields gets hurt, and Tyson Badgett is being able to turn things around now. Oh, I
Yes.
finally got his name right. Look, Chicago looks good. They're playing better right now. They put up 30 versus the Raiders. Chargers aren't good either. They might put up 25-30 again. Give me Chicago on primetime television, and the Bears could be surprisingly 3-5.
Yes. The one thing I didn't know about this Badgett kid was, by the way, he was undrafted, but I don't know if you noticed he won the trophy that is a different, I believe, league or levels version of the Heisman Trophy. So
Really?
yes. So he's not a terrible quarterback. He really is not. He just hasn't
Right.
had the opportunity to come out and play until now. And
Right.
look, his first start, he leads them to a win. He actually kept them in the game when Justin Fields got hurt. They could have easily ended up winning that game too. It wasn't too ugly of a game. But at that point, by then, Justin Fields had buried that game. At that point, he
No,
completely just blew it for them.
well, look. Excuse me. Wow. I mean, you're right. Again, a burp. Excuse me. It's been a mess this afternoon for me right now. The point is this. Yeah. Look, I mean, again, Chicago looked better. Badgett's playing really good so far. Pretty good start to his time with Chicago, and we'll see if it continues on Sunday. I think it will.
Yeah, one thing I will say is if Tyrod Taylor, and this is before we move it to Monday Night Football, if Badgett and Tyrod Taylor continue to look the way they've been compared to the supposed to be starters of the team, the Giants and the Bears have some things to consider.
Yep. No, you're right.
But we move into Monday Night Football. This should be a bounce back game for the Lions, especially with probably no Jimmy G again. We got Raiders Lions. What do you think?
It's got to be Detroit here. I mean, the Lions looked freaking horrible last week against Baltimore, and that was a real shock. But the Raiders have been a train wreck, and they're coming off a loss to Chicago by 18 points. And Detroit, again, needs that bounce back. Detroit's going to get it. Look, Montgomery hurt or not, this offense has to wake up this game. And I think they're going to do it against a Raiders defense that's not good. And with Jimmy G out again, it's going to be awful for the Raiders offensively. So you got to give me Detroit. That's really the end of the story here, Jason. and Detroit's going to continue their lead in the really bad NFC North.
Yes, Detroit physically cannot let themselves lose to Hoyer. He is just,
Yeah,
I mean, there's no reason you lose that game. There's a lot of frustration right now in Vegas. Devontae Adams has been complaining lately about not getting the ball enough.
you can't blame them.
No, yeah, yeah. No, but all I'm saying is it's just creating a lot of tension and frustration there.
Sure. Yeah.
So overall, it's not a great atmosphere in that Vegas locker room right now, and just all together. Detroit, look, it occasionally happens. You just have one of those days where you just completely crap out. It is what it is. They're still 5-2, but this is a very big game for them because if they don't win, suddenly they are only like one game ahead of the Vikings. So this is a must win for the Raiders and sorry for the Lions in my opinion. You cannot lose this game to the Raiders and put yourselves in a scenario where the Vikings are breathing down your necks for that first place spot.
Well, I mean that, but also keep in mind Minnesota's probably going to win, and if Detroit doesn't win for whatever reason, yeah, you highlighted the tension right there. But there's Minnesota's still without Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
And when he comes back eventually in 2 weeks or whatever it is, you get him and Addison going, and Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins is still there, and they're able to build this winning formula after having a horrific start, then Detroit is really on shaky ground here.
Yeah. No, from what looked like how the season started, Detroit's a sure thing to win the division. It goes to a position of, oh man, we're getting worried now. We might not be able to maintain this. We still have to play the Vikings. We could
Yep.
lose to them, and everything's upside down. You just, this is a must win because you keep that 2-game lead. And if somehow the Vikings manage to lose, you also pick up another game on them as well. And in my opinion, then if you win this game and the Vikings manage to lose, you probably made it very hard for the Vikings to catch you, in my opinion.
Yep.
Just so I think this is just such a big game for the Lions. The Raiders are not going to be a playoff team. There's no shot of
Mm-hmm.
that. So this is so much more important for the Lions. Obviously, look, you want to win if you're the Raiders, but they've just been so unimpressive. To be honest, they're almost a little hard to watch. um, but yeah, just a big one for the Lions. I mean, there's some really big games this week. For the Seahawks, the Bengals, the Niners, the Lions to bounce back. The Chargers really need to bounce back. Uh, Giants, Jets. We got the Bucks and the Bills both need
Mm-hmm.
bounce back games. Cowboys could really use a win. The Dolphins need to come back and win. So there were a lot of big impact games here when it comes to standings. Colts need to win to try to keep any hope alive, in my opinion.
Yep.
Because look, if you lose this game, I'm not saying the season's over, but with Gardner Minshew as the quarterback, it will be very, very hard to come back and win the division if you guys lose this game and go to 3 games behind Jacksonville.
Yep.
So I just don't see you picking that up with Gardner Minshew. Also, keep in mind we got Atlanta trying to maintain first in the division, maybe pick up some ground as well. So just overall, some really, really big games this week. Some of them are a little iffy, might not be the most exciting, but there are some big standing implications in those games. So yeah, I think it's just going to overall be a very fun week 8. Thank you guys so much for watching week 8 NFL predictions, guys. Uh, if you're new here and enjoyed the video, drop a sub, leave a like on the video, and also leave a comment on your predictions as well for week 8. We're going to continue to do this every single week. I hope you guys are enjoying these so far. We have a lot of fun filming them. And yeah, we will be back next Thursday for week 9. Peace out, YouTube. Hope to see you then.